Hey, what's up guys? This is Tooke here, and in this video I want to talk about finding the Goldilocks zone. And I want to share with you why I think it's so important to find the right zone for you to be working at to achieve maximum productivity, potential, success in anything that you're trying to do, especially jiu-jitsu. So you guys that don't do jiu-jitsu, make sure you find a school and go enroll right now. Go! So what is the right zone? A lot of people will tell you, constantly be pushing yourself as hard as you possibly can, sacrifice sleep, wake up early, work your body as hard as it will handle, whether that be studying, whether that be working, whether you're an entrepreneur or you work for somebody else and you're just trying to soak up and get the most out of life. You have to kind of squeeze the towel dry, get everything out of every moment, so that at the end of the day, you have won. There was nothing more you can give. But should you really be pushing yourself this hard every single day? If you enjoy television shows like Shark Tank, or you listen to any modern day guru, or basically anything that David Goggins says,
just fucking quit. Remember this. This isn't a hobby. This isn't a fucking joke. It's a fucking lifestyle.
You will probably say that the answer is an undeniable yes. You should be giving 100% your all in the most uncomfortable environment possible so that you grow and that you improve and that you just push right through. But science would beg to differ with that way of thinking. It turns out that there's a more intelligent way to approach getting outside of your comfort zone. Basically, you need to find out where you are, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, intellectually, and push yourself just beyond your capabilities within that zone for maximum growth potential. Check out the link in the description for a more in-depth article that goes over the reasons why this is the case and what science has to say about finding the right zone. If you push yourself too little, if you're too comfortable, you're not really going to make any breakthroughs because there's no reason to go beyond. You're essentially pushing yourself just to feel good about your own progress, and when things get more difficult, you tend to back away. That is not enough of a push outside of your comfort zone. Too much, on the other hand, and your stress and anxiety will be too much for you to handle, and you will crush any chance of finding any growth with whatever activity or skill set you're trying to improve upon. So let me give you a jiu-jitsu analogy, since that's the only thing that I really know anything about, and see if it helps you understand. So a too comfortable scenario in jiu-jitsu would be, you're the toughest one in class, you easily tap everyone else out, you tend to quit when you're tired and not do any extra rounds. Maybe you skip drilling because that's a little tedious and you'd rather just get to the fun sparring. Maybe you only train gi or no gi because that's what you're most comfortable with. And perhaps you avoid training with people that give you that sense of anxiety. You know the one I'm talking about, the one who's like, oh man, that person, they're probably gonna get the better of me. You feel your heart rate going up, so you try to avoid training with that person, when in reality, that's probably the person that can help you grow the most. And perhaps you don't ever compete. And while competition maybe isn't for everyone, I certainly encourage it if it's something that you think you might want to do, and the only reason you're not doing it is because it makes you nervous and you're uncomfortable with the idea. I still get very nervous when I compete. I do it because I've never had a competition where I didn't get better at jiu-jitsu overall. So now here's an example of something a little too challenging. Let's say you're a brand new white belt, you join a jiu-jitsu class, you immediately enroll into 10 classes per week because you're all gung-ho about being the next UFC champion and tapping out Khabib Nurmagomedov. You soon realize that every part of your body hurts, you get tapped out about twice as many times as there are minutes in each round, and you find that 10 hours of sleep per night just isn't quite enough to fully recover from. So now let's talk about the Goldilocks zone of training. For a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu student, it's basically just identifying where you're at and then taking an intelligent approach to adding a little bit more. I know for me, one of the things that I added years ago was a regular strength and conditioning program. Because up until that point, my strength and conditioning was just something I did on occasion. It was like somebody invited me to work out. It was like, cool, yeah, let's go work out. And then I would be really sore, and then I would just go back to training regularly, and I didn't make that a priority. Now it's become a priority, and I feel the benefits of it. And although it's comfortable, it's something I can always get through, I can always add to. So that's an example of how you could bump up your jiu-jitsu training. If you're very new in the beginning, I would say maybe you don't train, 8 to 10 times per week. Although that's what I did, but you've got to gauge what you can handle. You don't want to be the person who does something just because somebody else is doing it that way. You might be built a little bit different. You might be able to handle more or less, but it's important that when finding sort of people to emulate, that you consider your own personality and what you're capable of. Otherwise, you might be setting yourself up for failure. You'll see some people that maybe pick up jiu-jitsu a little bit faster, like, I just need to train harder. And while I'm 100% for training as hard as you can, that needs to come at the right time. In the beginning, jiu-jitsu is overwhelming. It's 1,000,001 techniques that you've never seen before, and you haven't even learned how to shrimp yet. So the idea of, being disappointed when a purple belt taps you out, or not getting a particular technique, this is all very normal. Sometimes it's better to actually take a day or two off during the week, in between the Monday through Friday, to let your body recover, to let your mind soak up that new technique that you've learned. And then over time, you add in another day. You add in a little bit of strength conditioning. You clean up your diet. You add in a yoga class to work on your mobility. And now pretty soon, you're working right at that Goldilocks zone, where it's more uncomfortable than it was last week, but it's not going to send you backwards. It's going to be something that you feel inspired and motivated to continue doing, because you're like, man, I pushed myself harder than I did last week. It was rough, but it didn't kill me. What can I do next month? And you just keep building upon it layer by layer. That's what every great champion that I've seen has done. They make recovery a priority. They have times that they take off. They've made sure that if they're injured, that they're not pushing through it. Although, when it's competition time, sometimes they got to do that, but they're aware of it. They know that they're maybe sacrificing their body a little bit for a particular competition goal because they can't change the date. But when they're back, a lot of them are making sure that they try to heal up and they try to get better. And the reality is, this can be applied to any goal or skill that you'd like to accomplish. For example, if you want to read more, maybe it's not best to start with War and Peace, Moby Dick, and the Bible as your first 3 books back to reading, since you haven't read anything since high school. Perhaps a 30-minute audiobook is a little more suited to your current situation. For me, it's one of the most important parts of owning a school and continuing my own education is ongoing reading. And while I didn't read very much in high school, I can't soak up enough information at this age and at this part of my life. Everybody's different. Some people love to sit down and gotta have the paper book. Me, I like the audible words. I like to drive and just replace my music time for audible book time. You can even get some hardcore David Goggins.
Fucking quit. And remember this. This isn't a hobby. This isn't a fucking joke. It's a fucking lifestyle.
So in conclusion, guys, what it really comes down to is being completely honest with yourself and your current level. It doesn't really matter where you are, right? If you're an elite athlete, then you know that you're operating at an elite level day in and day out, and you've got to push yourself just to maintain your current level. And it only gets more challenging with time, but you've lived the lifestyle, and so you know what that's about. But if you're not there, there's no reason for you to sit back and feel sorry for yourself and make excuses. You also know at the end of the day, if you could have put in a little more work to get a little closer to one of your goals, and you simply let it slide by because you made an excuse or you felt sorry for yourself. Any of you guilty of that? I am all the time, right? It's human nature. But you make it a habit to not let yourself off the hook so easily. And maybe that's going to be your Goldilocks zone, where you're a little uncomfortable with the idea of calling yourself out on your own bullshit, but you also know it's gonna lead to a lot of positive growth. So you do that. You do that at the end of the day. You wake up in the morning, you do something a little uncomfortable, nothing that's gonna spike your cortisol levels, but just gonna be a little bit less comforting than rewatching Breaking Bad because it's awesome and you wanna do something that's gonna actually have some future value. Find your Goldilocks zone, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you do anything particular that has helped you out. If you haven't done so already, please like this video. It would really help me out a lot with this channel, and I'll see you guys for the next one.